already know what Jim is about and what he does. He does a lot of work in this community as well, besides just teaching. But I want to welcome Jim today to close the session. And it's just befitting that he does. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jay, and thank you everyone for coming here to share the night with me. Today what I'm going to present it to you is it's all about trust, and to hopefully bring up your awareness of the internet vulnerabilities that you should pay more attention to. And the internet vulnerability I'm going to cover today, no matter you're using a desktop or using your smartphone, they all have the same vulnerabilities. The topology for the hands-on demonstration, and you will be part of it, you will be this one, either the notebook user or using your smartphone. So you're going to test out the vulnerabilities. What's been set up here is there's a firewall and also a wireless router being set up. And that's the internet school network. So the firewall outside connected to the internet. From here, it also has an outside. That's going to be the DNS web server and all of that. From here, this point and inside is the inside, so-called the secure network that if you go to an internet cafe or airport, you will connect it wirelessly through this device, and hopefully it's a legitimate device that will point you to the right place without damaging your system. So we're going to show you also the two parts of the hands-on demonstration. The first part is how to integrate and import a certificate from the security device into your server box. So when you talk to the device, you actually can make sure that you are really talking to the device. The device will claim they are with this host name, with this IP addresses. But is it true? Then we're going to cover the concept of certificate and see if it is strong enough so that they cannot deny. And you cannot deny that it is really who they claim they are. So that's the first part. And then we're going to discuss the recent security breach of a few CA, Certificate Authority, that actually got breached and issued a few true but fake certificates to the wrong party and causing a lot of damage. We're going to discuss that. Then we also will discuss what happened and how to accomplish those kind of damage through the illustration of using a wireless router that will give you a free access to the network, and then go through the DNS compromisation. It will send you to a bank, and you will input your username and data in there, and we'll see how it goes from there. And then we'll conclude the presentation with the mitigation discussion. So first, let's talk about the disclaimer. There are some tools here that I will use aimed at the vulnerability of a buffer overflow of a Cisco device. So if you already patch the wireless router, it wouldn't be a problem. But if you didn't patch it, it's still active. It will. Change the username, password in your wireless router from outside, from the outside, not from your inside. And that's the bad part. And you can also change the DNS of the box. And we'll say, hey, what kind of damage can that cause? We'll see in just a few minutes. First, let's talk about the cryptography. Well, we all know that we go to do online banking. How many of you done online banking here? Good. How many of you go to spendyourmoneyhere.com and spend your money there and buy something online? Every one of us. Yeah, good. And you check your email. It's also HTTPS, secure connection. The transaction is supposed to be safe, but is it really safe? We are going to cover some of the basic technical aspects so you understand how strong mathematically that is to give us a sense of security and what could go wrong so that it will cause you harm. So I'm not going to go through all the detail of those. You can search it through the internet, and some of those classes that we teach will cover all those ciphers and ciphertext, what's encryption. But I'm going to focus in a few things here. Number one, when we go out, we have to have authenticity. You authenticate who you are. And if it's so strong, then it becomes that is then it becomes non-repudiation, meaning that you cannot deny it's really you. So that's the strong authentication. And once you reach the authentication, the second important thing that you want to accomplish when you go out online, what is it?
Jim, come up here in the back. You need to turn that up a little.
Can you hear me better now? Hello? Test. Test? Okay.
Yeah, much better.
So, what's the second element? Of course, there are a lot of elements, but the important element first is to achieve the authenticity of the sender or the user. What is the second most important thing? After you authenticate who you are talking to is really the right person. What's the second element that you're looking into? Once you authenticate who you are, password. Passwords relate to what?
Authenticity.
So whoever is not supposed to see the data cannot access it. Is that correct? And a technical term for that, maybe what? Confidentiality. Very good. So authenticity, confidentiality. In order to achieve confidentiality, you need to have a strong encryption. Okay? So all of this can be achieved using the certificate. That's the popular way of doing it. Certificate is like a government issuing a passport to actually authenticate who you really are. And then in addition to that, you also have a publication that you can revoke a stolen or a compromised passport. Same thing with certificates. In addition to that, I'm going to quickly using the email as an example to illustrate the concept. Before we do that, let's take a look at this Microsoft site. It does a pretty good job in digital certificate. It's like this. You have a certificate, and it will tell you what's the subject identification and what is the public key. It's a toolbox. It's asymmetric. There's a private key, there's a public key. You keep the private key, you keep it private. And the public key, the whole world can have it. Then, for a certificate authority, they issue you a certificate. You will run through all the information, such as your website address, www.iomiswebsite.com, and my email address that really belongs to me. And all the information in here, they run through that with a hash algorithm. SHA-1, MD5, you name it. Once you run through this one-way hash is mathematically impossible to revert. Meaning that once you run through, this is the only thing that you're going to get. If you change anything in here, then the digest won't be the same. The digest, once it's created, then the authority who you trust, like the US government in the passport scenario, is going to use its private key to encrypt it. And then you'll put it in here, together with the certificate. So once you get the certificate, if it's a server certificate, when you come into me, then I'll tell you, hey, this is me. And do you really believe that's me? You don't have to believe me, but you do believe this guy. And for some reason, if actually you do in the ORAS devices, you have already pre-installed a few of those certificate authority that you trust, and you have the public key. So then, once I presented you this certificate, I say, hey, I'm the owner of www.abcospendyourmoneyhere.com. Then actually, you should trust me if you use the public key of the CA that issued me this certificate to decrypt the digest. And inside here, it tells you what algorithm I use to run the hash. Then you run the whole thing through the hash. You got the number, you get the digest, and then you can decrypt it, you can compare the number. If they don't match, then yes, I didn't change anything. So this certificate been issued to me, to the certificate authority that you trust. So if I got a US passport, and I didn't tamper with anything, because when you run through everything, every single character in here, it comes up with the same digest as when you run it and you sign it with your private key and put it in here. And it's so shown mathematically so that it's achieving the purpose of non-repudiation, that you cannot deny, actually this is you. So that is the certificate. Now there are a few places where you can import your certificate. I'm going to show you. We have the Cisco or other firewall process security devices. Well, it doesn't have to be Cisco device. Any kind of security devices, usually you can use the GUI interface to manage it. And when you manage it, then you will need to use HTTPS using the SSL connection or TLS to connect to the box. And usually those certificates are not signed by the CA. It's self-signed. When you self-sign, you can actually import it into your trusted certificate. Once you import it in, then next time, you don't have to get the annoying message and say, hey, this certificate that you try to access this box and do some job with it, and it's not trusted by you, do you want to continue? We're getting so used to, and it's a bad habit, say no problem. Even though the certificate, you are not one, you even tell me that you are not legitimate. Do you want to continue? Well, you are not trying, no. You're not legitimate, but you're telling me that, hey, I don't have the certificate that can prove myself. Do you still want to go on? And you will say, yes. We say, yes, once you get into the habit, that's really bad. I will tell you why in just a few minutes. We're going to do all the discussion first, and then we're going to go to the hands-on. And then you can ask questions anytime throughout the presentation, okay? There are a few links in here. The first is, I'll just search a few of those. Tell you what, What's the best way to learn about all the security and all the other information? Who's the best teacher?
Google.
Thank you. Yeah. So we've been emphasizing, hey, Google. Google got everything. Of course, Yahoo got a lot of everything too. I mean, the search engine. All you have to do is make the best out of the search engine and use your judgment. Collect the right information instead of being lured into the wrong one. Okay. There's a digital hack lead to a cyber attack on that. It happened in July this year. The certificate has been compromised. And the certificate authority didn't actually respond in a timely manner. So it caused a lot of pain. And in here, you can read through that, but basically what it does is it discusses when the hacker hacks into the certificate authority's CA, whether it's the root CA or it's a subsidiary CA, once they issue the certificate, is just as trusted in there. And what kind of damage can it be done? Take a look. Got pretty good information in here. Look at this one. I can't find a specific paragraph I want to talk to you about, but that's not an issue. Let me just go ahead and talk about what it is. All those links, after you read through that, it will point to you to a lot of different links. But the important thing is this. When the root CA got compromised, normally, why would anyone compromise a root certificate? Is it easy to do or not? Let's talk about it. If I want some data from you, the most effective way, easiest way is I will hack into your system, right? And you just grab the data. Why would you get a certificate that is trusted by the whole world? And then that certificate will authenticate me as what I am not, and make you believe that I am actually the website owner. For instance, I can claim I'm www.google.com or the Gmail posting server. If you hack into an individual system, it's easier because you only have to target one host. If you compromise a certificate, it's more complex. You have to actually hack the whole network infrastructure. So usually, it's either government got involved, or it's a massive, powerful organization is behind that. Reason, back to today's subject, DNS vulnerability overflow. When you want to go to Google, or if you want to go to a certain site, you have to do a name resolution. Once you resolve the name, you go into the site, you are going to request a certificate if it's a secure connection. You won't just go to your Gmail account and then without any encryption and just say, hey, let's say, actually one of those, they claim that a lot of Iranians, they are in serious trouble because of the compromise of the certificate. Reason is, the government is behind it. They get a certificate that actually they hack into the certificate authority. Once they get a certificate, they can put out a server with that certificate. However, if you go out through your regular channel of the DNS to go to the real server, then that is wasted. They have to somehow do a man-in-the-middle attack. How to achieve that? The easiest way, or not the easiest way, there's no easy way to do that, but you have to hack the whole infrastructure. You have to be in between them, redirect their access to the host, to the fake one. But your system will trust the fake one because they have the certificate that we just talked about that's issued by the root certificate that your system already trusts. So you use the public key of the certificate authority that your system already possessed, and you run the hash through the certificate, everything match. So that certificate really is true. So that you started to think that you are talking to the right host. And then you will share the secret with your friend and all that, and yet you actually sharing it through the bad guy. So that is the note here. You have to hack the whole infrastructure, not just attacking a single box. And the way that they have done to mitigate that, to counter the attack, is that in the browser, they implemented the mechanism where there's only certain CA can issue the certificate for Google, for instance. Then if you go to a site and they claim they are Google sites, yes, they are issued by certain certificate authority, but your browser is going to give you a warning, say, hey, no, this is wrong. This certificate is not legitimate. And that's what triggered actually initiated the investigation of the compromise of the security, the certificate authority company. Well, we're going to get into the hands-on part, but before we tap into that, let's quickly go through those two parts. I'd like to use the email as an example to quickly go through how do you achieve the authenticity and also the encryption. One is you both two parties, sender and receiver, you will have your certificate. And you can get it from Thought, if they speak about the free one. If not, you can buy from VeriSign or GoDaddy, pretty inexpensive compared to VeriSign. Just as good. Then once you get your email certificate for each other, then you can do this. You can sign your email with your private key. And then associate your public key, put it on the web, or email it out to your friend. Anyone in the world can have your public key. So once they get a public key of yours, then they receive your email, then they will decrypt it because you signed the digest. The whole email, just like the certificate, you run through a digest, a hash algorithm in the digest. You sign the digest. You don't sign the whole email. You sign the digest. And then, which means that you encrypt just the digest. Then you send it out to the receiving party. The receiver got it, and then use your public key to decrypt the digest. So they see the digest and use the hash algorithm, see if they match. If they match, then hey, this email is authenticated. Nothing has changed. And, but you did, it is really sent by you. However, what it doesn't do is to protect the confidentiality. So then you have to encrypt it. And guess, what kind of key are you going to encrypt then? So that only the receiving party can decrypt and read the message. You already achieved authenticity by sending an email, but I didn't encrypt the whole email. I just encrypt the digest. The whole plain text runs through the hash, get the digest. I sign it. So then you got a public key, you can unsign that, you can actually decrypt it and compare the digest and make sure it's sent from me. But if someone sniff it in between you and me, they can see the content. So what's missing here? You have to sign the whole email with what? You have to actually encrypt the whole email with whose key? The other person's public key. So then the whole world, only his private key can decrypt it, right? So once you send it, you achieve the confidentiality. Whoever sits in between, they can sniff it, they can get it, but they don't have your private key. So you really have to safeguard your private key. All right, that being said, let's do this. Well, I have two-part exercises, but because of the time issue, let's do the second one first. And if we have time, then we will just import the certificate into the machine. So when you access the security boxes, you don't have to worry about keep ignoring the warning. Say, hey, the date's expired, the name doesn't match, it's really not the certificate that you should trust, but then do you want to continue? And we always say yes. If you get that into your habit, it's really bad, okay? So let's just start to do our second exercises first. Kind of detour a little bit. We talk about the buffer overflow exercises. There's a wireless router that you can actually, those are the buffer overflow that you use those, the web link. And then because the box's firmware version doesn't validate the data, you can actually change your password so you can log in from remotely. But that's not a good idea. You don't want to, you really don't want to attack the box so that they really know that you have, you are under attack. This exercise, what it does is you are going to use your personal device, your PDA, your cell phone, and you are going to attach to the network. And for now, let's do this. You can see that this box, it has an IP address of 10.10.92. And 10.10.91 is actually the default gateway, goes through the firewall to shoot up to the net, as I show you in the topology. And its DNS server is normal, 4221, 4222, and the nice, beautiful 8888. That's Google's DNS server. So if you pull out your cell phone, if you like, and you look at your settings, and you take a look at your, and go here, let's take a look at your DHCP here, and then the client table. Yeah, I got quite a few of you already. You're going to go to your cell phone and turn on your Wi-Fi. And in the Wi-Fi here, you're going to see quite a few. And one of them, the most legitimate one, is Walnut City public Wi-Fi.
I knew that was you.
Yeah.
We were attacking.
Couldn't be more authenticated, right? So go ahead and sign on to that one, and you will pop up here. And you can go to the internet. It's all legitimate. No trick, nothing. And for those who can hack me, don't do it yet, okay? Let me finish my demonstration, then you can hack whatever you want, okay? But not now yet, okay? Just be nice to me. Be gentle. All right, here. Now, once that's been done, you can browse your internet and all that stuff. But if you do, if you're using a notebook, if you do an ipconfig to see, or ifconfig if you're the Linux guy, if you use that, you can see that your DHCP lease is very short. It's only 3 minutes I set it up. So that you can constantly renew your DNS. By the way, the DNS attack is required. It's part of the attack for the certificate compromisation of the CA being compromised and it issued the Iranian government the fake, the true fake certificates because they have to hack the whole infrastructure. And here's the same way. This box, I set it up. It's legitimate. I didn't actually change anything. I am just as innocent as you. So if you take a look at that, the box, you're still there. And I have the exploit and this one. It's a very long string. So if you're here yesterday, then you know what the data validation, how important that is. So if I copy that, and then I'll just use a browser, paste it. So, setting are successful. Continue. It's from outside. See, 10.10.9 is outside. It's not inside. If you check your cell phone, you should get a 192.168.1 inside address, and you can browse the internet. Okay? Okay, now, you see what the difference now? All the DNS servers now is 10.10.9.11. 10.10.9.11 is my DNS. It's no longer 4221, 4222, 8888. From outside, you buffer overflow the box. You successfully changed the DNS. And when you renew it, client release time is 2 minutes. Meaning that every 2 minutes, you're going to renew through the DHCP server here. So that if you pull your cell phone up again, then just make sure that your DNS server now is 10.10.9.11, 10.10.9.11, 10.10.9.11. But how often do we check? We don't, right? So now, still go to Google, still works. Just as before. The only problem is, go here, as in my demo, the handout here, but instead of showing you a handout, I'll just demo it here then. I'll go to www.citibank. Well, of course, this bank is no longer. You see, it looks pretty good, except you see that it's February 23rd, what year? 2020, I give you a little bit hint, right? To the online banking, that sounds good to me. So, here you go. Password. Database not available, try later. Everything looks pretty normal. And video run you back. Okay, no big deal. Now, if I change my DNS server back, then everything will be back to your normal banking, right? Because I set it to 2 minutes. So in this case, a few of you use your cell phone and actually put in some data in there too. You can go there. You can go to www.citibank.com. Use your cell phone. Someone try one. Use your Safari, whatever. CIT1. Okay, so once it's been fished up, take a look at that. Well, I just do an IIS in there, so take my money, test, security network, play pass. So it's fishing your data. So without you knowing. So basically, if your DNS haven't been haven't been updated, then you can't do it from your cell phone yet because I do the attack right now. So wait a minute, and you probably go to other network and come back in. You will be able to enter it. Go to the same website. So we got a few minutes left to do this. I'll just leave this alone here. Okay, good. When I try to access HTTPS to the security boxes, it tells me that the certificate issued by the company you have chosen not trust. The security has expired or it's not been valid. The name on the security certificate is invalid and doesn't match the name of the site. So what we usually do is say, yes, we trust it, and then just let it go. And in here, you can just do the view certificate, right? And you see that there is the 2002, so it actually is expired already. The date and time's already expired. I didn't plan this one, so I actually already updated the date. So I guess I didn't save it, so I reset it to 2002. So the certificate is no longer valid. I have to redo all the certificates in here. So we'll see how it goes. In order to do that, then I will have to do, we'll say no on that, because once you import it, the time and the date is not correct. It wouldn't work. So I have to go in here, and of course, I didn't plan this part, okay? I will just try to save a few minutes. Therefore, in here, the date today is 09. Okay, so this is the date. Anyone remember the command? Let me just put the command up. Here you got it. C-A-G-R-S-A key. Oh, I'm missing one word. Okay, so it's generating the key pair in that box. Once you generate the key, it's private and public key system is going to, and you can do a show CA my top key, RSA key, and this is the key that's got generated for you. Now then here, let's go back to the exercise. Sorry about the interruption. So then in here, I'm going to put it here. We've got quite a few of them. We're going to go here. And come back in again. Now, at least the second one, the certificate, the date is valid, okay? So then you are going to have to tackle the other two, the other one. So we can do view certificate, install certificate, and next. Now in here, you can do automatic, or you can place a certificate. So if you placed it, and you are going to see the trusted root certificate to the local computer so that everyone can use it. Next, finished, and import is successful. Now, let's just exit it out, come back in here, go back in again. Now you see two check marks. So do read it. I mean, don't just see it and say, oh yeah, go. So and then how we see the certificate has been issued by the host. So the name doesn't match. You're using the IP address. So that back to our point of the DNS. Now, if you have a DNS here, which I happen to set this one up as the DNS, and now you're going to see this is Citibank, and then the host is that. Now I'm going back to the forward lookup zone, and I'm going to create a primary zone, and it's called sw.com software Cisco. And then next, and finish it off, and then go to here. I'm going to have a new host, which is PIX, Cisco PIX, and it's 10.10.9.1, and create reverse pointer. So once you've done that, in here, now if you go in, whoops, refresh. Actually, what I make a mistake is I didn't change the name to pix.sw.com. You see that? Now it doesn't give you the certificate error. It's already in there. So this is a better way of dealing with it. And of course, then if you give the password of, then it's going to run. Don't worry about this one. always allow up to side, so you can run the nice pretty GUI. Let me show you the certificate. So it's going to be in here. So when you run the MMC, Microsoft Management Console, and you can actually go in there and say, hey, you want to add and remove the snap-in, okay? First, we can go to the internet. So when you go to the internet, you can actually, whoops. So this is actually the nice pretty GUI HTTPS that you can actually manage the box, okay? Instead of using the command line that I've been using. All right, so close that one up. And now in here, if you wanted to look at your certificate, then you are going to add a snap-in. And quickly, you can actually just add the local certificates. In here, you can go to the certificate in here, add, and my user account, and you're going to add the computer account also. So it's on the handout too. So once it's done, then you can see that you have a trusted root certificate in here, and all the certificate server is here. So all the certificate server has been done inside here. And if you go to your browser, if you go to your internet browser here, and then tool, go to internet options, content, and if you look at the certificates, so trusted root certificate, and take a look at the date. See, it's here. It's been imported into it. So you import it, then you trust it. Then you wouldn't ask it again. So those are a simple, quick demonstration of how you import it, how to straighten out certificate, and it's a strong, non-repeat deviation type of authentication. You really are talking to the box. Once you set this up, no doubt you are talking to that box. Now let's go back to our final conclusion of this presentation. So those are the exploits for those overflow. Now, it's all about trust. We actually, on the smartphone, we already did. So let's go to the conclusion in here. How do we mitigate or kind of resolve this kind of problem? So one way of doing it, of course, you can actually use a static DNS server name. When you use your cell phone, smart devices, at least you take one element out of the way. The DNS, you always go to the one that you trust the most, or it could be yourself. But then if you don't protect your boxes, maybe it's better off rely on other professionals, go to Google's or go to Verizon's DNS server. And of course, it doesn't mitigate a network infrastructure hack. If you are visiting one of those websites, the secure website, and their certificate has been using the compromised CA issued a certificate. You try to get out there, and your infrastructure already got hacked. So then you are still subject to the man-in-the-middle attack, being redirected to the host. Once your system talks to the host will present you with the right, correct certificate, and your system won't understand it. The only way you can mitigate that is that if your browser, which is one of those elements here, the browser deploys security measures, such as to ensure that only certain certificates are pre-approved from the list of the CA, it can be accepted. Then you can mitigate that. So if someone compromised certificate authority A here in Europe, and you only authorize, say, VeriSign, to issue your certificate, then of course your browser go in there and you implement this countermeasure. Then it will give you a warning that that certificate is not legitimate. Okay? And do not access important data or personal data through the internet cafe. Just like Wi-Fi, the one I show you in there, you use the cell phone to access it, then you can be subject to phish. Okay? and find out a real IP address of the important host. Again, this will not mitigate the network infrastructure head. You can find a real IP address, but then I should show you that if you use the real IP address, the certificate will have an issue. They have to change back to the hostname because that's not what the certificate can issue to. Now, protect the end device with the firewall and intrusion prevention boxes. And at this point, then I want to do a small commercial here that I invite you to join our competitions, cyber defense competition with Cal Poly. We're going to have one in December 10th, and then a few before March next year. The March is Western Regional Cyber Defense, CCDC, and we actually set up in the basement, room 28, room 1. For those who you are in the degree program of CNASM, and you know where that is. I teach most of my classes, all of my classes there. Every Saturday from 9:30 to 12, and next week we're going to be from 9:30 to probably 3 o'clock. So you're more than welcome to join in next week and to see how it's been conducted, how do we train and help each other to learn, to prepare for this competition. Anyone can attend. I mean, you don't have to represent us to compete, but you can come in. And it's a closed, secure environment. You can bring your hacking tool to head whichever way you want. It's completely legitimate. And then we will find out a way to mitigate it, okay, whether through the firewall or through the intrusion prevention. And we do have a lot of state-of-the-art equipment using the integrated security appliances that actually can do intrusion prevention with the virtual network that we have. So it's quite an exciting venture if you're interested in that. And so that's what we usually do in policing our skill to do that, hardening the boxes, and then configure the security appliances correctly. And then pay attention to abnormal messages, such as the one I show you with the wrong certificate, or they tell you it's a fake certificate. Don't just take it lightly and investigate to it, okay? If your browser come up with something, then you pay attention to it. If you're using a smartphone, turn on the fraud warning in your mobile unit, and then implement the botnet filter through ASA devices. This is just one example. Cisco has actually created a botnet subscription that it actually accumulates, investigates a network of the site that's been compromised. So when your system going out, they will give you a warning system and they will filter it through so that keep your system more secure. Then actually now, using your common sense, if you have seen some message popping up that it shouldn't be there, pay attention. Don't just click OK, OK, and go. Now, any questions, comments? No questions? It's either I'm doing very well or very bad. Last call.